realized I forgot to show actually like a very basic construction of maybe a square with a couple of rounded corners, and how to put the dimensions down. Okay, so let me just construct a simple shape, and I'm just going to do a square. Let's see if this is pretty good. I'm just going to do a square that's 5 centimeters across, and I'm just going to first construct it lightly. I don't know if you can see. Kind of. I have to do a little darker. I'm using a diagonal to have to measure less and less. In other words, I just measured once, but now by aligning my triangle, I can do everything else without having to measure anymore. Okay. I could also be using a T-square, right? Like this. That would simplify things, but I don't have a good edge there, so I have to use two triangles. Another trick I use, and this is actually kind of nifty, is that if you're moving along a line that you know for sure now it's square, right? So let's just say that line is perpendicular to my other line, right? I'm just going to emphasize that. And now I want to check whether this really is parallel to that. What you can do is slide your triangle down this particular line. In this case, like I have a number 2 there. See that? And if I move it up and down and it stays on the line, well, then I know that my horizontal is going to be perfect. If it veers, then it will be off, right? So that's a good quick check. So for example, so let's just say it's correct there, but then I move it down. I don't know if you noticed, but it's going off the screen. It's going off the screen, but it's also going off my line. I have to kind of show it more. So let's say it's like that. And then I move it up. And boom, I'm like way off. Okay, so that's just like a nice little quick way to double check. So, I mean, you could spend an hour trying to make it work, but at least, you know, see, that kind of works. It's pretty good. Anyway, enough of that. Let me just finish this square, otherwise I'll never get done. Again, if you're using one of these mechanical pencils, you want to roll it and turn the pencil as you're drawing. It's a little harder with the other ones, but okay. So now this is really, really dark, so I don't know how to show. What I was going to try to do is do something that's light and then show the circles. I'll go ahead and do it anyway. So I'm going to have circles which are like 2 centimeters, and why don't I just do 1 so it's faster. Tell you what, I'm going to erase, but you shouldn't erase. I'm just erasing because I don't want to have that line too dark right now. So to do, if your object is, this is for the orthographic, right? If your object has curves that are more or less circles, you can use again a template or the compass. So notice I'm not measuring to do all this work, right? That's the idea. Also with the orthographic, the idea is you measure only when you need to, and then you just do everything else everything else using, you know, the straight edge, parallel. Okay. Again, make your coordinates for your circle so that you know where it's inscribed, but also where the curve changes, right? So now I can use either the compass, which in my case it's a little tough because my lead in the compass is pretty hard, so I'm going to have a hard time. It's not fitting. You know, making a line that's really dark, and if I press too hard it might move, so you know, it's a constant fight. But if not, you can use one of these. Yay! Alright, now let's see if I find one that matches 5 millimeters or whatever that was, 2 centimeters. Just look for it. And I'm off, but I can probably fudge it a little bit. Now, when you do this, do all your curves first, okay? So I'm going to really darken it now. And the reason for that is, imagine I have one on the other side. Let me just do that. Let's say I go off a little bit, and I'm not advocating going off, but I'm just saying, okay? Alright, so I don't know if you can see it here, but that's a little off, right? Now, because I'm going to do the straight line later, I could fudge it. I mean, I did fudge it when I did my drawings. If this was, you know, a presentation drawing, you can then kind of turn your pencil, turn your ruler, turn your head, I don't know. And it's not as bad as it was before. Okay. Still a bump, right? So it's not ideal, but and then same here. Okay, good. Let me just quickly show now an extension line. So let's do it here. I mean, if you do your everything very, very light, even your extension lines could be continuous and touch the object, as long as you go back and leave a little gap, just like I'm doing now. Okay, just leave a little gap there and there. And then leave a little gap for the numbers. Okay. And if you're indicating the radius of this thing again, indicate it so that the line goes to the middle here. Oops. My errors are terrible. You know, maybe it's diameter. Okay. So, in general though, the idea is you do your construction, you do on top of it. I mean, if we were inking the drawings, it would be a perfectly clean drawing without all that construction, but we're not. So we have the construction, and then we have the object lines and everything else. And do your view, like label your views. Okay. The other thing, it says off scale in the assignment, but you know, it depends on what your object is. Obviously, if it's really big, you might have to do quarter scale. So whatever scale you're going to use, you can indicate that. Okay. There. Yeah. If it's really small, you could do 1 to 2, meaning 2 to 1, right? So you could actually enlarge it by 200% or maybe 150. Yeah. Right. If it's, you know, if it's a tiny little thing, even something as tiny as yeah, maybe like an iPod Shuffle or the little guy, you could enlarge it.